Lorenzo de Vita didn't need to raise his voice. Men twice his size fell silent when his black shoes clicked across marble floors. He was 35 years old and owned half the city. The ports, the casinos, 3 senators, a judge, and more secrets than the police would ever find. He sat now in Dr. Chen's private office, a place where billionaires came when normal doctors asked too many questions. The room smelled like leather and expensive cologne. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city lights, but Lorenzo's dark eyes saw none of it. Mr. De Vita. Dr. Chen adjusted his glasses. His hands shook slightly. Even doctors feared this man. Your test results show nothing physically wrong. Your body is perfectly healthy. Then why? Lorenzo's voice was quiet. Dangerous quiet. It's psychological. Dr. Chen cleared his throat. 4 years without interest in women, without physical response. It's your mind protecting you from something. Lorenzo's jaw tightened. 4 years ago, the woman he'd trusted had sold his secrets to his enemies. Men had died because of her. His own cousin. Dead. Since then, nothing. Beautiful women threw themselves at him constantly. Models. Actresses. Daughters of powerful families. His body felt nothing. Wanted nothing. I don't need therapy, Lorenzo said, standing. I need solutions. Sometimes the mind needs healing more than the body. Lorenzo walked out without another word. His driver, Marcus, waited by the black Mercedes. Tall, silent, loyal for 15 years. Home, boss? The velvet room. Lorenzo slid into the backseat. I need a drink. That night, alone in his penthouse after the club, Lorenzo stood at the window. Power hadn't filled the emptiness the way he'd thought it would. Money couldn't fix what was broken inside him. But feelings made men weak. Feelings got men killed. Better to feel nothing than to feel and lose again. Elena Cruz counted the bills for the 3rd time. $42. That was it. Rent was due in 3 days. $800 she didn't have. She sat on her narrow bed in the tiny apartment she shared with 2 roommates who'd already told her they couldn't cover her share anymore. Her notebook lay open beside her, filled with words she'd written at 2 in the morning. Stories about strong women and impossible love. Stories that felt more real than her actual life. Elena was 24, with dark hair that fell past her shoulders and brown eyes that noticed everything. She'd learned early to stay quiet, to make herself small, to avoid attention. Attention from men like her stepfather had taught her that. She'd escaped Miami 2 years ago with $300 and a bus ticket. Started over. Kept her head down. Worked cafe jobs and cleaning gigs. Wrote her stories late at night under the name, El Mara. Posted them online where strangers left comments saying her words made them cry. But words didn't pay rent. Her phone buzzed. A text from her roommate Jess. Got you an interview. Hostess job at the Velvet Room. Good tips. Tonight at 8. Elena's stomach dropped. The Velvet Room. She'd heard stories. Elite club. Rich men. Beautiful women. The kind of place where girls like her became invisible or became prey. But $42. She texted back. I'll be there. At 7:30, Elena stood outside the Velvet Room in her only nice dress. Black, simple, bought from a thrift store. She bit her lower lip, a nervous habit, and pushed through the heavy doors. Inside was a different world. Crystal chandeliers. Red velvet everywhere. Women in designer dresses. Men in suits that cost more than her yearly salary. You Elena? A woman in her 40s appeared. Sharp eyes. Professional smile that didn't reach her eyes. I'm Diana, manager. You're here for hostess position? Yes, ma'am. Diana looked her up and down. You're pretty. Quiet. That's good here. Rule 1. Serve drinks, smile, don't speak unless spoken to. Rule 2. If a VIP wants privacy, you disappear. Understood? Elena nodded, her throat tight. Trial shift starts now. $80 cash if you make it through the night without causing problems. $80. Not enough for rent, but it was something. Elena carried a tray of champagne glasses through the crowded club. Her hands trembled slightly. The music was too loud. The men's eyes followed her too closely. She kept her gaze down, moving like a ghost between tables. Hey, sweetheart. A drunk businessman grabbed her wrist. Sit with us. I'm sorry, sir. I'm just serving drinks. His grip tightened. I said sit. The lady is working. A voice cut through the noise. Cold. Quiet. Absolute. The businessman's face went pale. He released Elena's wrist immediately and stood up. Mr. De Vita, I apologize. I didn't realize. Leave. The man grabbed his coat and practically ran for the exit. Elena finally looked up at her rescuer and forgot how to breathe. He was tall, dark hair perfectly styled, a black suit that probably cost $5,000. But it was his eyes that stopped her. Dark brown, almost black, completely empty. Like looking into deep water with no bottom. Lorenzo DeVita. She'd heard the name whispered in the kitchen. Owner of this club. Owner of half the city. A man who made other dangerous men nervous. Thank you, Elena whispered. He didn't even look at her. His gaze swept past her like she was furniture. Marcus, make sure the staff understands not to bother the guests. A massive man appeared beside him. Yes, boss. Lorenzo walked away. Didn't acknowledge her again, like she was nothing, less than nothing, invisible. Elena stood frozen, the empty champagne tray shaking in her hands. Heat flooded her cheeks. Not embarrassment, anger. Men like him never see women like me, she thought. We're just scenery in their expensive world. She returned to the kitchen, jaw tight. Diana handed her a towel. You're lucky, mister. DeVita was in a good mood. Now get back out there. Lorenzo was halfway to his private booth when it hit him. A scent. Subtle. Clean. Like rain and something floral. Lavender maybe. It cut through the heavy perfume and cigar smoke that usually filled his club. Then the memory of a voice. Soft. Genuinely grateful when she'd said thank you. Not flirtatious. Not calculated. Just honest. His body stirred. For the first time in 4 years, warmth spread through his chest. His pulse quickened. He stopped walking, his hand gripping the railing harder than necessary. No. Impossible. He turned slowly, scanning the crowd. Found her. The girl from a moment ago. Dark hair. Simple black dress. She was clearing glasses from an empty table, moving efficiently, head down. Nothing special. Plain, even. So why was his heart pounding like he'd run a mile? Marcus. His voice came out rougher than intended. The big man appeared instantly. Boss? The girl. The one in the black dress. Serving drinks. Marcus followed his gaze. The new hostess? Bring her to my office. Quietly. Marcus hesitated. Boss, she's just. Now. Lorenzo climbed the stairs to his second-floor office before he could change his mind. This was insane. Probably nothing. A coincidence. Stress playing tricks. But his hands shook as he poured himself whiskey. 4 years of nothing, and suddenly his body woke up for a girl whose name he didn't even know. He told himself it was only curiosity. He knew he was lying. Elena was wiping down a table when the massive man, Marcus, appeared beside her. Mr. DeVita wants to see you. Her stomach dropped. Did I do something wrong? Just follow me. She followed him through the club, up carpeted stairs, down a hallway lined with expensive art. Marcus knocked once on a heavy wooden door, then pushed it open. Lorenzo DeVita stood by the window, his back to her. The office was huge. Dark wood, leather furniture, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a desk that looked like it cost more than a car. Leave us, Lorenzo said without turning. Marcus closed the door. The click echoed like a gunshot. Elena's fingers twisted together. Her lower lip caught between her teeth. Sir, if this is about earlier. What's your name? He still didn't turn around. Elena Cruz. How old are you, Elena? 24. You need money. It wasn't a question. Heat flooded her face. I'm a good worker. I won't cause any problems. I just need. I'm not firing you. He turned finally, and those dark, empty eyes locked onto hers. I'm offering you something better. Her heart hammered against her ribs. I don't understand. He moved closer. Each step deliberate. You need money. Housing. Security. I can provide all of that. In exchange for what? The words came out steadier than she felt. Something flickered in his expression. Surprise maybe. Like he wasn't used to women questioning him. You'll live in my apartment building. Rent-free. I'll pay you $2,000 a week. $2,000. Elena's brain couldn't process the number. That was more than she made in 2 months. What would I have to do? Her voice dropped to a whisper. Be available when I need you. His eyes never left her face. Keep me company. Ask no questions about my business. You mean, she couldn't say it. I mean exactly that. His voice was flat, emotionless. This isn't a relationship. This isn't romance. This is an arrangement. When I want you, you come. That's all. Elena's hands trembled. She wrapped her arms around herself. And if I say no? You walk out that door. Work your shift. I'll never mention it again. He tilted his head slightly. But we both know you can't afford to say no. The truth of it burned. 3 days until eviction. $42 to her name. No family to call. Nowhere to run. I need time to think. You have 60 seconds. Her teeth sank into her lower lip so hard she tasted copper. 2,000 a week. Safety. A roof over her head. All she had to do was sell herself to a man who looked at her like she was a business transaction. But what choice did she have? I want it in writing, she heard herself say. A contract. Stating the terms. And I want my own room. My own space that you don't enter without permission. His eyebrow raised slightly. You're negotiating with me? You said it's an arrangement. Arrangements have terms. Her voice shook, but she held his gaze. Those are mine. For a long moment, silence filled the office. Then Lorenzo's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. Done. Marcus will have the papers drawn up tomorrow. He moved to his desk, pulled out a thick envelope. 5,000. First week's pay plus advance. You start immediately. Elena stared at the money like it might bite her. I don't. Take it. He pushed the envelope across the desk. Or don't, but decide now. Her hand reached out, touched the envelope, pulled it toward her. Good. Lorenzo's voice dropped lower. The car will pick you up from your apartment tomorrow at 9. Bring only what you need. Everything else will be provided. Elena clutched the envelope to her chest. Why me? The question seemed to catch him off guard. His jaw tightened. That's not your concern. You said I could ask. About my business. Not about this. He turned back to the window. You're dismissed. Elena walked to the door on numb legs. Paused with her hand on the handle. Mr. DeVita? What? I have conditions too. I won't pretend to be something I'm not. And I won't disappear whenever it's convenient for you. Silence. Then, so quietly she almost missed it, we'll see. The apartment wasn't an apartment. It was a penthouse. 20th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Marble floors. A kitchen with appliances Elena didn't know how to use. A bedroom bigger than her entire old apartment. Your space, as requested, Marcus said, setting down her single suitcase. It looked pathetic in the massive room. Boss said to tell you he'll send for you when he's ready. Could be tonight. Could be next week. Does he do this often? The question slipped out before she could stop it. Find girls and make them arrangements? Marcus's expression softened slightly. No, Miss Cruz. You're the first in 4 years. He left before she could ask what that meant. Elena spent 3 days alone in the penthouse. Lorenzo didn't call, didn't visit. She started to wonder if he'd forgotten about her entirely. She used the time to write. Her laptop looked tiny on the massive desk, but the words flowed easier here than they ever had before. Her online readers were growing. 50,000 followers now. Some company called Aurora Publishing had emailed asking if she wanted to partner with them. Turn her stories into ebooks. Real money. She hadn't responded yet, hadn't told anyone. It felt too fragile, too good to be real. On the 4th night, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. I'm sending a car. Be ready in 20 minutes. Wear the black dress in your closet. Elena's hands shook as she opened the closet. Found a dress she definitely hadn't put there. Silk. Designer label. Probably cost more than everything she'd ever owned combined. It fit perfectly. The car took her to Lorenzo's private residence. Not a penthouse. An actual house. Modern. Glass and steel. Security everywhere. Marcus led her inside without a word. Through rooms that looked like magazine spreads. Upstairs. Down a hallway. He stopped at a door. He's inside. Elena's heart hammered. This was it. The moment she'd been dreading and somehow anticipating for 4 days. She pushed open the door. Lorenzo sat on a leather couch, whiskey in hand, still wearing his suit from whatever business he'd conducted that day. He looked tired. The emptiness in his eyes seemed deeper tonight. Close the door, he said quietly. She did. Come here. Elena crossed the room slowly. Stopped a few feet away. Her fingers twisted together. That nervous habit. Lorenzo set down his glass. Studied her like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. You're afraid. Yes. Of me? Of this. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. Of what you want from me. He stood, moved closer. Close enough that she could smell his cologne. Something dark and expensive. Close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. I haven't touched a woman in 4 years, he said, and the confession seemed to cost him. Not because I didn't want to. Because I couldn't. My body wouldn't respond. Nothing worked. Elena's eyes widened. The doctor said it was psychological. His jaw clenched. That I'd shut down after someone betrayed me. That I'd closed myself off from feeling anything. Then why me? The question escaped before she could stop it. What change? I don't know. His hand reached up, fingers brushing her cheek so gently she barely felt it. But when you're near me, something wakes up. Something I thought was dead. His thumb traced her lower lip. Alina's breath caught. Heat flooded through her body despite her fear. I need to know if this is real, Lorenzo murmured. If I can actually feel again. Or if my mind is playing tricks. He leaned down. His lips hovered over hers. Not touching. Just there. A question. Alina's hands found his chest. Felt his heart pounding as hard as hers. This dangerous man. This empty-eyed king. He was scared too. She closed the distance. The kiss was gentle. Testing. His hand slid into her hair, tilting her head back. The kiss deepened. His other arm wrapped around her waist, pulling her against him. Elena felt him trembling. He walked her backward toward the bed. Laid her down gently. His hands found the zipper of her dress, started to pull it down. Then he froze. His eyes locked onto hers. Saw something there. Fear maybe. Or something else. Have you done this before? His voice was rough. Elena's silence was answer enough. Lorenzo pulled back like she'd burned him. Stood up. Ran his hands through his dark hair. That gesture. She'd already learned it meant he was losing control. Why didn't you tell me? Would it have mattered? Her voice shook. You said this was an arrangement. Not a relationship. It matters. He turned away from her, hands gripping the edge of his desk. His knuckles went white. It matters because I'm not the man who takes something like that as part of a business deal. Then what are you? Silence filled the room. Heavy. Suffocating. Get dressed, Lorenzo finally said. Marcus will take you home. But, go, Elena, before I change my mind. She left with her dress half-zipped. Left with tears burning behind her eyes. Left confused and hurt and somehow relieved. In the empty room, Lorenzo poured another whiskey. His hands were still shaking. What the hell was wrong with him? He'd made the arrangement, set the terms. She'd agreed. This should be simple. But the thought of taking her innocence as part of a transaction made him feel like a monster. And he was supposed to be a monster. That was the point. So why did she make him want to be something else? The pattern started the next day. Lorenzo didn't call, didn't text, but he had groceries delivered to her penthouse. Expensive clothes appeared in her closet. Fresh flowers on the table every morning. At night, he'd summon her. She'd come to his house. They'd talk, sometimes for hours, about nothing important. Books she'd read, cities he'd seen, dreams she didn't tell anyone else. He'd kiss her until she couldn't breathe. Touch her until she trembled. Then he'd stop. Always stop before crossing that final line. I'm not ready, he'd say. As if he were the inexperienced one. Then morning would come and he'd be cold again. He wouldn't look at her when Marcus drove her home. Wouldn't call for days. Elena would wait, angry and confused, before he'd summon her again. 2 weeks became 3. 3 became 4. Elena started writing again. Her followers doubled. Aurora Publishing offered her a contract. $20,000 for 3 books. They wanted to feature her as their debut mystery author at some industry event. She signed the contract without telling anyone. Used a P.O. box for the address. Kept El Mara, completely separate from her real life. Because this life with Lorenzo felt more fake than her stories did. One night, she arrived at his house to find another woman leaving. Beautiful. Designer dress. Perfect makeup. The woman's eyes swept over Elena with barely concealed disgust. How sweet. He's keeping a pet now. Elena's face burned, but she said nothing. Just walked past into the house. Lorenzo stood by the window. Didn't turn around when she entered. Who was she? Elena asked. Business associate. Looked personal to me. It wasn't. His voice was flat. Final. Do you summon her at night too? The question tasted bitter. Make her wait while you decide if she's worth your time? Now he turned. Careful, Elena. Or what? You'll send me away? You do that every morning anyway. Her hands shook. She'd been holding this in for weeks. I'm tired of this. The hot and cold. The way you touch me like I matter and then look through me like I don't exist. You knew the terms. The terms didn't include emotional torture. Tears burned her eyes. I can't keep doing this. Waiting for you to decide if you're capable of actually feeling something. I won't be your experiment. Lorenzo crossed the room in 3 strides. Grabbed her arms. Not rough. Desperate. You're not an experiment. His dark eyes bore into hers. You're the only thing that makes me feel alive. The only person who's gotten past my walls in 4 years. And it terrifies me. Why? Because the last time I let someone close, she destroyed everything. Got people killed. People I loved." His voice cracked. "I can't survive that again." Elena's anger melted. She reached up, touched his face gently. "I'm not her. I know." He leaned into her touch. "But my mind doesn't care. It keeps telling me that caring about you will get you killed. Or worse, that you'll be the one holding the knife." "Then let me go," Elena whispered. "Stop this arrangement. Let me leave before we both get hurt." His arms wrapped around her, pulled her against his chest. "I can't." That night, he made love to her. Slowly, carefully, like she was something precious that might break. Afterward, she lay in his arms, her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "Stay," he murmured into her hair. "Not just tonight. Really stay." But when morning came, she woke alone. Found a note on the pillow. "Business in Chicago. Back Friday. Marcus will take care of you." Elena crumpled the note in her fist. Nothing had changed. She was still his secret. Still the girl he wanted in darkness but couldn't claim in daylight. The invitation arrived 3 days later. Thick cream cardstock. Gold lettering. "Lorenzo De Vita and Sofia Castellano request the pleasure of your company at their engagement celebration." Elena read it twice. 3 times. The words didn't change. Engagement. Her hands shook so badly the card fell to the floor. Marcus appeared in her doorway. "Miss Cruz, when were you going to tell me?" Her voice came out surprisingly steady. "That he's engaged to someone else?" Marcus's face said everything. "It's complicated." "No. It's actually very simple." Elena stood. "He made me think I mattered. That what we had was real. And all along he was planning to marry someone else. The engagement was arranged years ago. 2 powerful families. Boss doesn't have a choice." He had a choice. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "He could have told me the truth instead of letting me fall in love with him." She said it out loud for the first time. Admitted what she'd been trying to deny for weeks. She loved Lorenzo De Vita, and he was marrying someone else. The engagement party was in 2 weeks. Every rich and powerful person in the city would attend. And Elena would be, what? Watching from the penthouse he'd bought her? The kept woman. The secret. Her phone buzzed. Aurora Publishing. "Ms. Mara, we'd love to reveal your identity at the De Vita Foundation Gala next month. Great publicity for the book launch. The De Vita family is one of our biggest sponsors. Interested?" Elena stared at the message. The De Vita Foundation. Lorenzo's family hosted it every year. A massive charity event. Cameras. Press. Everyone who mattered. They wanted to reveal El Mara's real identity there. An idea formed. Dangerous. Maybe stupid. But she was so tired of being invisible. She typed back, "Yes. I'm very interested." Lorenzo returned from Chicago to find Elena different. Distant. She still came when he called. Still let him touch her. But something had changed behind her eyes. "What's wrong?" he asked one night, running his fingers through her dark hair. "Nothing." She smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "I'm fine." "Elena, congratulations on your engagement." Her voice was flat. "I hope you'll be very happy with Sofia." His jaw tightened. "It's not what you think." "Really?" Because the invitation seemed pretty clear. "It's a business arrangement, merging 2 families. I don't love her, but you're still going to marry her." Elena sat up, pulling the sheet around herself. "While keeping me here. Your secret. The girl you visit at night. It's complicated. Stop saying that." She stood, started pulling on her clothes. "Either I matter to you or I don't. Either this is real or it's not. You can't have both." Lorenzo caught her wrist. "I can't call off the engagement. Too many people are counting on it. Too much is at stake." "Then let me go." "No." "Why? Why do you get to have everything while I just wait in the shadows?" "Because I love you," he wanted to say. "Because the thought of losing you makes me want to burn the whole city down. Because you're the only real thing in my life." But the words wouldn't come. They stuck in his throat like broken glass. "I need time," he finally said. "To figure this out. You've had weeks." Elena pulled free. "I won't wait forever, Lorenzo. I can't." She left. He let her go. What Lorenzo didn't know was that Elena had stopped waiting. She was building something new. Something that belonged only to her. Her book deal had grown. 3 books became 5. Aurora Publishing was calling her their rising star. Her online followers hit 200,000. The advance payment had reached her account. $50,000. More money than she'd ever seen in her life. Money she'd earned with her own words. Her own voice. She didn't need Lorenzo de Vita anymore. She was choosing to stay. But not as his secret. Not as the hidden woman. At the gala in 3 weeks, everyone would finally see her. Including him. The morning she left, Elena didn't cry. She packed her single suitcase. Left all the expensive clothes Lorenzo had bought her. Kept only what was truly hers. Her laptop. Her notebooks. The few personal items she'd arrived with. She'd found a small apartment across town. Nothing fancy. But it was hers. Paid for with her book advance. She didn't leave a note. What was there to say? Marcus found her at the door. "Miss Cruz, please. Talk to him first. There's nothing left to say." She adjusted her bag on her shoulder. Tell him I hope he finds what he's looking for. But it's not me. He loves you." The words made her chest ache. Maybe, but not enough to choose me publicly. Not enough to stand up to his family. Not enough. She walked out of the penthouse and didn't look back. Lorenzo found out 2 hours later. Came home to an empty apartment. Her toothbrush gone from the bathroom. Her scent fading from the sheets. He called. She didn't answer. He had Marcus track her down. Found her new address. Showed up at her door at midnight. Elena opened it. Saw him standing there in the rain, still in his suit, completely soaked. His dark hair dripping. Those empty eyes finally showing something. "Pain. Come back," he said quietly. "No. Elena, please. I'm pregnant, Lorenzo." The words fell between them like bombs. 2 months. I found out yesterday. His face went white. "What? I'm keeping it. The baby. I don't need your money. I have my own now. I don't need your protection. I'm leaving the city next week. Starting over somewhere you'll never find me. You can't. Watch me." Her voice was steady. Strong. "I spent my whole life letting men control me. My stepfather. You. Never again. This is my choice. My life. I'll find you. You can try." She started to close the door. "Goodbye, Lorenzo. I love you." The words finally broke free. Raw. Desperate. "I love you, Elena. I'm calling off the engagement. Choosing you. All of it. Just don't leave." Elena's hand trembled on the doorknob. "You're lying." "I'm not. I swear on everything I am. I'll tell my family tomorrow. I'll stand in front of the whole city and tell them you're the only woman I want." Words are easy at midnight. Tears finally fell. "Come back in the morning, Lorenzo. When the sun is up and your family is watching and the consequences are real. Then I'll believe you." She closed the door. Lorenzo stood in the rain, his heart breaking for the first time in 4 years. Lorenzo de Vita did something he'd never done before. He called a family meeting. His father, his uncles, the Castellano family, Sofia herself, every powerful person who expected him to merge the families through marriage. He stood at the head of the table in his conference room, 20 people staring at him with varying degrees of confusion and irritation. "The engagement is off," he said simply. Chaos erupted. "You can't. We had a deal. Do you know what this will cost?" Lorenzo slammed his hand on the table. Silence fell instantly. "I'm in love with someone else. Her name is Elena Cruz. She's carrying my child, and I'm going to marry her instead." His father stood, face red with rage. "You'll destroy everything we've built. The Castellanos will become enemies. We'll lose their ports, their connections. I don't care. You would throw away your family's future for some girl?" "Yes." Lorenzo's voice was steady. "Final. I would. I am." Sofia, surprisingly, laughed. "About time." Everyone turned to stare at her. She shrugged, standing gracefully. "I never wanted this marriage either. I have someone I love too. Someone my family would never approve of." She looked at Lorenzo. "We've both been prisoners of duty long enough. Be free. I'll handle my family." His father's voice was cold. "You'll regret this. Maybe." Lorenzo headed for the door. "But at least I'll be alive while I do it." He had Marcus drive him straight to Elena's apartment. Knocked on her door at 8 in the morning. She answered in pajamas, eyes red from crying. "It's done," Lorenzo said. "Engagement cancelled. Family informed. No more secrets. No more hiding." He dropped to one knee right there in her doorway. "Marry me, Elena. Not as an arrangement. Not as a transaction. Marry me because I love you. Because I can't breathe without you. Because you're the only person who's ever made me feel human." Elena stared down at him. "Your family can accept it or not. Their choice." He pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a ring. Simple. Beautiful. Nothing like the gaudy diamond he'd been expected to give Sofia. "I choose you. Every day. For the rest of my life. If you'll have me. You're insane. She was crying, smiling. This is going to ruin everything. I know. Your father will probably disown you. I know. We're going to have to fight for every bit of happiness we get. I know. He looked up at her, and his eyes weren't empty anymore. They were full of fear and hope and love. Say yes anyway. Elena dropped to her knees in front of him, cupped his face in her hands. Yes, you impossible man. Yes. He kissed her there in the hallway while her neighbors watched from cracked doors and the morning sun finally broke through the clouds. The DeVita Foundation Gala was the event of the year. Every wealthy family in 3 states attended. Cameras everywhere. Live broadcast to thousands. Elena stood backstage at the hotel ballroom, her hand on her small baby bump, barely visible under her dress. Red this time. Bold. She wasn't hiding anymore. Aurora Publishing's representative stood beside her. Ready for the big reveal, Ms. Mara? Almost. Elena took a deep breath. She could hear the crowd. The music. The sound of champagne glasses clinking. Somewhere in that sea of people, Lorenzo waited. He knew she'd be here. Knew Aurora Publishing was making an announcement. He didn't know she was El Mara. Nobody did. The publisher took the stage. Elena watched from the wings. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Tonight, we have a very special announcement. For the past 2 years, a mystery author has been captivating readers with stories of strong women and powerful love. Her pen name is El Mara. Her books have sold over 300,000 copies. And tonight, for the first time, we're revealing her true identity. The crowd leaned forward. Elena saw Lorenzo at a front table, his eyebrows raised in mild curiosity. Marcus stood behind him. Even Lorenzo's father was watching, though he hadn't spoken to his son in 2 weeks. El Mara is actually. The publisher gestured to the side stage. Elena Cruz, author, writer, and the brilliant mind behind your favorite romance novels. Elena stepped into the spotlight. The gasps were audible. Lorenzo stood so fast his chair fell backward. His father's face went pale. Other people in the crowd recognized her. Nobody Lorenzo had chosen over a strategic marriage. The girl who'd supposedly ruined everything. And she was a best-selling author. Elena walked to the microphone. Her hands trembled, but her voice came out strong. 2 years ago, I was homeless and desperate. I worked minimum wage jobs and wrote stories late at night because stories were the only place I had control. The only place I had power. She looked directly at Lorenzo. I never expected anyone to read them. I definitely never expected them to change my life. The crowd was completely silent. But they did. Because words have power. Stories have power. And women who've been told they're nothing can become something extraordinary when they're given a chance. She turned to the crowd. I'm not sharing this to brag. I'm sharing it because every person watching deserves to know. Your circumstances don't define your worth. Your job title doesn't determine your value. The people who underestimate you are the ones who'll be most shocked when you succeed. Applause started, slow at first, then building into a roar. Lorenzo's father stood, walked toward the stage. Elena's breath caught. He stopped in front of her, studied her face for a long moment. Then he extended his hand. Welcome to the family, Ms. Cruz. Officially. Elena shook it, shocked, speechless. Lorenzo appeared at her side, his arm sliding around her waist. Pulled her close, kissed her right there in front of everyone. Cameras flashing, crowd cheering. When he pulled back, his dark eyes were shining. You're full of surprises. Is that okay? It's perfect. He rested his hand on her stomach. You're perfect. 6 months later, Elena sat in the nursery of their new house, laptop open, baby monitor beside her. Their daughter, Sophia, slept peacefully in her crib. 3 months old. Perfect tiny fingers. Lorenzo's dark eyes. Elena typed the final words of her new book. A story about a broken man and a strong woman. About choosing love over fear. About building something real. She sent it to her publisher and closed the laptop. Footsteps in the doorway. Lorenzo leaned against the frame, tie loosened, suit jacket gone. She asleep? Finally. Elena stood, stretching. How was your meeting? Boring. I missed you both. He crossed to the crib, looked down at their daughter with an expression Elena had never thought she'd see on his face. Pure softness. Complete love. I keep waiting to wake up, he said quietly. To find out this is all a dream. That I'm still that empty man who couldn't feel anything. Elena wrapped her arms around him from behind. It's real. I know. He turned, pulled her close. You saved me, you know. From myself. From a life that looked perfect but felt like death. We saved each other. She looked up at him. You gave me a home when I had nothing. Even if it took you a while to realize I was supposed to be your home too. He smiled. Actually smiled. The empty eyes were gone. Had been for months. Replaced with warmth and life and love. Come to bed, he murmured. I want to hold you while you're still awake for once. They left the nursery together, his arm around her shoulders, her head on his chest. 4 years ago, Lorenzo De Vita had been a man who felt nothing. Who wanted nothing. Who'd built walls so high nobody could reach him. Then a girl in a simple black dress had walked into his club, and everything changed. She'd been his cure, his salvation, his home, and he'd finally learned that the strongest thing a man could do wasn't building walls. It was letting them fall. The end. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Now I have to ask you, if you were in Alina's shoes, would you have given Lorenzo a second chance? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments below. I read every single one.